dog.
What up, everybody? Happy hump day. It is Wednesday, the 21st of May. Dude, it's hard to believe. We are 5 months, almost 6 months into the year already. Dude, time flies. If you ain't chopping it, if you ain't getting it, if you ain't trying to develop something to better your future, to better your family, whatever, then dude, you're missing the boat because time just keeps clicking by whether you like it or not, right? It's just boom, boom, boom. It's amazing. I just saw something on, I think it was Facebook or something about a Mark Chestnut song as a country music fan. One of his songs, hit number one. It was 30 years ago. I looked over at my wife and I went, geez, it just doesn't stop for anybody. So if you always say, that's okay, I'll do this tomorrow or I'll do this the next day, think about it. It goes by so quickly. So if a task that you have to do is monumental, means that you have to establish your company or you have to build your brand or you have to market yourself or you have to get out there and knock on the doors and make things better. Start today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Start today. Start laying the groundwork today. And that's what you do when you come to coffee hour. You get your day started, have a little Java or whatever you may have in the morning to get your day started. Maybe you work the night shift and you're crawling in here all sleepy-eyed. Get you something, get you going, stay awake for at least an hour. And as Adam says, coffee hour with a plural. Sometimes we go longer than that, but thanks for taking the time out of your busy week, out of your busy morning to join us here for coffee hour. Also, I've noticed that people are sharing coffee hour. I can see it when you share it, you hashtag it. You're sharing it on all types of social platforms. We appreciate you. We love everybody that comes in. And those that are watching the replay, we appreciate that too. For those that are watching all the replays at 5 o'clock each day, we absolutely appreciate everybody sharing it and helping it grow, that type of thing. Let's see here. Beginning of the week, we had a little bit of a server issue, all cleared up. You should notice things are a little faster. We're always improving. So that's always a great thing. But again, we did get some requests that came in through paulabernathy.com. And I've sent them to Jeff and Darlene. We're going to be working those into some upcoming episodes. Things like welders and doing some welder calculations. That's the most part. Everything else is just kind of look up. But we're going to talk about the things that you need for calculations. We're going to cover that in 6:30 in future episodes. Had some requests for 550, 501, again, mobile homes and RVs. I guess mainly people do get confused about the grounding and bonding around like a mobile home and application, and of course where the service goes and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to cover all that. You never know what the hell we're going to cover here on Coffee Hour. That's why you want to join us. I keep it up. I shake it up. We go all over the place and talk about all different types of things. So that's why you want to join us and be a part of the family, because you are a part of the family. Now, as always, I live vicariously through you folks and your experiences, your journeys, things that you're going through. So do me a favor, let me know in the comments, whatever platform you're on. And Instagram will not show up here, but I will see it over on Instagram. So don't be shy, Instagram folks. Let us know who you are, where you're from, what you got going on. If you're in the Fast Tracks program, if you're studying, if you fell short on an exam, you need a little motivation, we'll help you, get you started. If you need to see some swag, this is one of our shirts we got over on our fasttracksystem.com, over on the shop. Just go to fasttracksystem.com/shop, and you'll find it under the engraved products. Dude, we got a lot of stuff going on. And so we got Trade Hog, we got Fast Tracks Tube, we got all kinds of things, and it's hard because we're a very tight group here, and I could actually blow this thing up bigger, but I'm not an attention whore. So I keep it small, I keep the group small. We slowly expand things. We could do things a lot quicker, but we don't. We're slow. Is what it is. Okay. I used to tell people all the time, at the end of the day, I'm just an electrician like all of you. I love the trade. I'm just an electrician. But I love sharing things with everybody and learning the code the same as you do. And as any good electrician knows, it's not just about being able to work with their hands. Okay, if you guys have an apprentice sitting with you, somebody that's listened to the show for the first time, and they go, dude, I don't need to watch this old fart. I do it with my hands. He's a has-been. He doesn't do it anymore. I do it. Yeah, but that's the problem. You got the physical part, you're still learning. You got to get the mental part. That's going to make you a well-rounded electrician over time. And then you can share that goodness with other people. And that's what it's all about, sharing the goodness, the learning, the knowledge. Again, it's like a doctor. I don't go to a proctologist for brain surgery, right? You go to a specialist, okay? Same thing. And you're an electrician and you learn the code and you learn why we do what we do with our hands, because everything that we do with our hands is tied to code, whether you like it or not. It's all tied to code. You may be just doing it just to do it, and you don't realize that it's code related. Why am I securing and supporting this? Why am I doing this? Okay. All right. Anyway, hopefully we're at part 2 today. We're talking about hazardous locations, part 2 of a multi-part series covering the hazardous locations at a very high level. But I did have somebody email me and ask me who was the gentleman that I was talking about that I said to me is a definitive expert, the guy that I like to recommend. And y'all may recognize his name. His name is Mark Odie. Mark Odie is, first of all, a sweetheart of a guy. Secondly, he's a gem to the industry. And we got these older guys that are not just older, they have all this institutional knowledge, but just tells stories. And he sometimes at events, he tells stories, and some of the younger guys go, oh my God, just get on with it. And us older guys always look and go, chill out, listen to the story. Because these are stories that once they're gone, they're gone. And Mark tells some amazing stories. So if you're in IAI or IAEI, and they change the name of what that means, it's stupid. It is International Association of Electrical Inspectors. They changed the name because they think it's going to bring in more damn people. That's stupid. It is what it is. You know what? It's a dying group because the younger folks aren't engaged in it, right? And it gets too political. That's the problem. They're educators. They only want to use their educators. They only want to use their people that smooge their back. But still a good association. It still promotes electrical. And so I support that. I just don't support them monetarily. But I do support their mission. And so one of the guys that does a lot of stuff that usually as at meetings, if he's still at meetings, because he is a bit retired, he is up there in age, is Mark Odie. If you get a chance, if you ever see Mark on a dais or an opportunity to go to a session that Mark is at, do it. Before it's time, before he's gone, before he checks out. Another guy that used to be that same way, his name was Dick Lloyd. Richard Lloyd was one of those guys that, they're not 100% right. Nobody is, but vast majority of the time he is. And he was just neat to listen to. His stories that he would tell of experiences that he would go through. And it would always tie it back into code or some application. But if you listen close enough, you pull nuggets out of those. All those storytellers that are code folks that tell stories as they tell the code, there's always something in there that you can get. So again, Mark Odie is a gem. Another person like that is Vince Delacroce, which is not old, but Vince falls in those kind of the mold where he can tell a story and teach code and all. Well worth the admission anywhere that you see Vince and things like that. Absolutely one of those guys. Okay, anyway, let's do some shout outs real quick so we can get into today's lesson. Again, let's do some shout outs because, again, I appreciate you coming here and taking the time to come here. What's up, Paul? In the house?
Whoa. Big dog.
JPB is here early, absolutely, before the actual live. Thanks for coming. Glad to have you here. Cray Cray's in the house. Nashville Music City's up in the house. Let's see here. Who do we got? Let's see here. Thomas up in Baltimore, Maryland, just right up the beltway from us here. Welcome. Thanks for coming, Tom. Who we got here? High Voltage Hands is in the house. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Let's see here. Let's skip mine. What is up, Adam? Adam is in the house. I'm sure he's got his coffee, multiple cups waiting. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Let's go. Let's see, what do we got? Brandon's in the house down in Houston. Our sister down and over and down. Down in Houston, Texas, studying hard, working on those calculations. Let's see here. We got some new folks here. What's up, Shep Plays? Glad to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Charlie, beautiful families, all doing good, I hope. Welcome. Thanks for being here, Charlie. Santana, welcome for being here, Santana. Thank you. Hashtag win, get you in on the spin. We are a little slow with the other stuff, but don't worry, we'll get it. Jeff has been kind of under the weather, so and I rely heavily on him. So there you go. So Terrence, right up the road, also DMV. Okay, just talking about DC, Maryland, and Virginia contractor right up the road. Welcome, my brother. Glad to have you here. Let's see here. There you go, Tom. You got it right. That's true. A man with experience is never at the mercy of a man with an opinion. So that's what I'm. Quote of the day.
Big dog.
I don't know how do you pin that. That's a quote of the day. Okay, I got to show that again. So true, so true, so true. What's up, Frank? Glad to have you here. We know what day it is. It's hump day. And if we didn't know what day it was, well, we could just go here and go.
It is hump day.
All right, let's see. What do we got going on here? Frank, good morning, good morning, good morning. We know what it is. Rob, welcome. Northern Iowa. Up in Iowa. Let's see. Terrence, you are most welcome, my friend. I just appreciate that you come here and we can learn. That's the problem with a lot of other channels and stuff like that is one, most people know that like me or hate me, don't want to watch me, whatever. I've been around doing this since the late 80s, early 90s, before it was even called podcasting or before it was even videos. I used to upload things to AOL and put it in repositories. And at first it was just for electrical inspectors and building officials. And I had people that have been following me for that long. And it wasn't until I've been doing this online longer than anybody. I've been doing it longer than Mike Holt, anybody when it comes to online. Just Google it. Go back and look. But we're still here. I'm still doing it. And now we're doing it every day. So I love this industry. It is my passion. I love electrical. I love all the electricians, even my haters. Even haters that are out there. You know what? You're doing the work that helps the machine keep going, and we're making great electricians together. If you hate me, that's fine. Doesn't bother me. What's up, Ryan? Glad to have you here. Good morning. Throwing that hashtag win in there, getting in on a spin. What do we got here? David, sitting for inspection on a rainy day. It is raining nasty here too. People ask me, am I working on the excavator? I haven't worked on that damn excavator in over a week. It is fun as dickens to work on. I've still got some big stumps to dig up, but it is a muddy mess out there. And I spent most of the day, the last couple of days, burning wood, getting rid of crap on the old Guru campground. What's up? Let's see here. What's up, Adam? 2 pints of coffee in the morning, jacked up. Okay. I have my 2 pints. I am jacked up. Can y'all tell? You know what they used to tell at work when I worked for the municipality? It was funny because everybody in the municipality used to tell I was in charge. I was the head engineer. I was the one that was overseeing inspectors and plan reviewers and everything. And they could always laugh and could say what kind of day it was going to be depends on the first 10 minutes of me walking in the office. Whether I was jacked up because I wear my emotions on my sleeve, right? And they would know whether to ask for raises or whatever, or ask for certain things depending on whether I was jacked up. If they saw that first 10 minutes, they would spread it around the office and go, don't go to Paul. Don't go to Paul today. But when I came in and I was jacked up or I was amped up, they'd be like, today's the day. Today's the day. Go see him. And when I left, that's what they told me at the party. They were like, Paul, we could read you like a book. And I'm like, hey, it's much better to have my emotions on the sleeve and you know what you're going to get than to be somebody that's full of crap hiding behind some facade. I am what you get. If you've ever called me on the phone, or if you ever talked with me, I am what you get. I don't candy coat it. I don't say things just to sell books and courses. I don't coddle to anybody. I say what it is. If it offends somebody, that's okay. Go somewhere else. Okay, I'm not twisting anybody's arm. I don't need 600 to 1 million followers making money on clicks. Don't need it. Don't want it. I do appreciate you following me on all of my platforms, like over on X at Master the NEC, because that's where you get notifications. And sometimes we don't put the notifications on every platform. So you might miss something. So again, get out there. Get out there. What is up, Ryan? Been working through the fast track test is in June. Okay. Positive thoughts, my friend. Got any questions? Feel free to ask. We'll try to work them in as we can. Good morning, Jonathan. Jonathan, I did get your recommendations for future shows. You got it, my man. We will try to work those in. Absolutely. Let's see. David, what's he say? Enjoy coffee hour. Get to make it every day. But again, we appreciate you when you do make it, David. Tino, we got you all set up on Fast Track's tube. Got that all squared away. There you go. Frank says where gas is $5 a gallon. Hey, you need to talk to your governor, my friend. it's only like 230 something here in where I'm at. So you need to talk to your governor. What's up, Edgar? Welcome. AJ, welcome. Glad to have you here this morning in the house. Alex is in the house. What's up, Alex? Hold on, I got to get the music or thing. Good morning. Glad to have you here. I feel weird. I'm calling you Alex, but it says Mike in your name. What's up with that? Red Dog is in the house. Red Dog. Big Dog. What's up, Charlie? Glad to have you here, Charlie. See some new faces. Justin, welcome. #win. Don't be shy, folks. If you're out there watching, join the family. Shout out. Type something. Don't just sit back and be a keyboard warrior, okay, and say, oh, I'm only going to comment something negative. Be positive. Join us. That's what we're here for. What's up, Manny? Wearing that beautiful green Code Nerd hoodie, okay? Over on fasttracksystem.com/shop. Go to engraved or products or go to hoodies and you get your own hoodie. What's up, Val? Good morning. Glad to have you here. Leroy's in the house. Good to have you here. Tara's in the house. Good to have you here. Okay, we got the females represented. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Do me a favor. Don't stop. Keep the chat going. Keep it going. Share it with everybody. #coffee hour, whatever you want it to be. And we'll get into today's lesson. So today, we're going to be digging a little further into hazardous locations. Again, so if you have any questions, feel free. Now remember, we're talking about hazardous locations from a very high level. Okay. Obviously, when you're working in something like 500, 501, 502, 503, things like that, always refer back to the NEC, because when it comes to hazardous locations, it's not complicated as long as you read it. And if you can't comprehend it, there's other things that that you can use. For example, you can use TradeHog. You get to try it for free. So why not at least try TradeHog and have it answer some questions for something you may not be familiar with, that type of thing. So let's get into today's lesson and let's talk about it a little bit. Good morning, Anselmo. Thanks for coming. Good morning, Yusul Muad Dib. Is that right? Am I getting it right? Hopefully I'm getting it right. Good morning. Let's see. Wandidos Choku Ampuero. I don't get these names, but appreciate you all coming. All right, so hazardous location. Now, we talked about it. If you missed it in part 1 of this series, please go back and watch it, because we talked about class 1, class 2, class 3. We talked about division 1, division 2. If you missed it, it's part 1. It's available on YouTube. You can go watch it, and it talks about what constitutes a Division 1 versus Division 2. Obviously, Division 1 is more restricted than Division 2. We went into the different basic layouts of Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. So if you missed it, that's okay. Just stick with us today. I'll probably be what I do redundancy anyway, is I'll probably recover some of that stuff. But definitely make sure you go back and watch part 1, that type of thing. Also, by the way, we have multi-part series over on our channels. Go back and watch it. Usually in the title, you will see where it says part 1, part 2, part 3. So again, just take note and make sure you watch them in order, because I do a lot of series on here, because we do this every day, Monday through Friday. So we got a lot of ground that we can cover throughout the year. And we've been doing this since January. We have a lot of episodes out there. So you should be sharing them, go watching them, doing all that kind of good stuff. Okay. All right, thread. So we have threaded conduit, which is, again, the predominant application for the different types of wiring methods. We're talking about threaded entries, and things like that. So it says supply connection entry threads form shall be NPT or metric. Conduit and fittings shall be made wrench tight to prevent sparking should a fault current flow through the conduit system. If it's not tight, okay, and you have a fault, you can have arcing take place across the two metals in order to try to complete its path if you have a fault condition, and that can cause ignition. And so that would be a problem. So again, we're making all these things up tight. The raceways are still going to be used as, in most cases, effective ground fault current paths, or at the worst, they're bonding. And so you have to make sure that all these connections are tight. We also don't want anything that could cause leakage. And NPT deals with tapered threads so that as it goes in, it tightens up as you engage the threads. Okay. All right. So it says, so sparking should fault current flow through the conduit system and to ensure the explosion-proof integrity of the conduit system where applicable. 500.8E. Okay, so we'll look at the NEC for that. So here is E for threading. Okay, low-hanging fruit on an exam, by the way, when it says the supply entries, it says the conduit and fittings shall be made up wrench tight. Okay, tighten it with a wrench to prevent sparking when fault current flows through the conduit system and to ensure explosion-proof integrity of the conduit system where applicable. It says equipment provided with thread entries for field wiring connections shall be installed in accordance with 500.8 E1 or E2 and with E3. So it's got to comply with E1 or E2, depending on the condition you've got. And they both have to comply with E3, okay? Now, the first thing people are asking me, they'll say, and I'm going to show you how you would use TradeHog, okay? Just in case you don't know. Even the free version of TradeHog, you can use this. It says equipment provided with threaded entries for MPT, threaded, again, tapered threads, for conduit fittings. It gives you all this information down here, okay? And it also says that it has to engage, okay? When you're dealing in explosion-proof equipment, okay, if you're in an area that requires explosion-proof equipment, it has to have at least 5 threads fully engaged. Low-hanging fruit on an exam, folks. At least 5 gauges, 5 threads have to be engaged. Now, there is an exception. It says for listed explosion-proof equipment, joints with factory threaded MPT, okay, factory threaded MPT entries shall be made up with at least 4 1/2 threads fully engaged. Okay, so this is just low-hanging fruit on exams. Default 5 full threads on a threaded entry, and then you have exceptions. So they'll tell you that it's something factory. In the question, it may say factory, that type of thing. So then you be careful because you're certainly going to have a 5 full threads. You're certainly going to have one of the answers be 4 1/2. If you don't read the question, you could miss it. And for all those people out there that say, damn, I missed the exam by 1 question, dude, this may be the one. Okay, so again, this was a simple understanding what the exception is. So the general rule, 5 full threads. And then again, you have an exception for listed explosion-proof equipment with joints that are factory threaded. It comes with it already threaded from the factory, everything that, okay. Another question people may be saying, Paul, I'd sure like to know more about this MPT crap. What's this threading? What's all the ins and outs of that? And then, of course, if you go and look at the code, you'll see that you have some informational notes, right? And some informational notes will give you some references to an ASME standard, which, hell, I already know that none of you have. Maybe some of you have. Tom might have it. But some of you don't. Most of you don't have this. So if I wanted to learn more about the nuances of, let's say, the MPT threading, what would I do? Well, let's just say, it's funny you should ask that. So if I go over here to TradeHog, let's go to full screen, make it a little easier. If I go over here to TradeHog, right? And I go, well, let's see here. Let me go down here and trade on. Let me get here and let's see. I'm going to put a question here. Tell me everything I need to know about ASME B1 MPT. Okay? This is a good example of when you should use the hog. Okay? Because it's going to bring back references. Okay? So here you go. I'm going to hit the send. I'm going to send it. And we're going to see if the hog for the win. All you out there that have trade hog, y'all loving it. We're getting so much great feedback from it. We're using the new smarter model. So it's constantly going to get better and better and better. All right. So there you go. Well, look at here. Wow. Okay. So ASME B1 covers the standard pipe threads, specifically for the National Pipe Taper MPT threads. Okay, so it's tapered thread. It's going to tighten up and seal as you tighten it up. Okay, key points: thread design. Okay, MPT threads are designed with a taper of 1/16 of an inch per inch, which means that the diameter of the thread decreases by 1/16 of an inch for every inch of the thread length. This taper helps create a seal when the threads are tightened. Boom. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Also, by the way, this is another big difference between having tapered threads and straight on threads that aren't tapered when you're dealing with something where you're trying to seal it from water getting in as well, because you have other types of fittings, TAs, other type of things that you can get in straight and threaded. Tapered. So it depends on whether or not it will allow moisture to get in, or whether or not you're using the right fitting, or not, whether or not it has tapers, those type of things. And you just need to look at the fitting and look at it. And if it's typically going to be listed for an application where it can be used in a wet location, it's typically probably going to have tapered threading on it, that type of thing. So here we're talking about for a different application, explosion, but in sealing. But again, all those things start to make you think. That's why all these things are this way. This is why we may use something tapered and we may not use something that's tapered somewhere else. Like typical connectors that go into a metal box, just a standard connector for dry location type connector, that's going to be straight thread. It's not tapered, that type of scenario. Okay, big difference when we have something that is tapered versus something that is just straight threads, like this typical lock nut would go on. Those type of thing. It's not sealing anything. It's just tightening mechanically, that type of thing. But in this case, trade hog can be amazing. Okay, there you go. Thomas says ASME is used frequently in our Maryland Aviation Administration design specs. There you go. If you do that kind of stuff, right? Okay. Ari says he hates meetings. Yep. Everybody hates meetings. That's why you come here. You skip the meeting. Skip the morning meeting unless it's a safety meeting. Then you want to attend that, definitely. But anyway. All right, so anyway, dude, it's trade hog for the win. Look at all this. Thread angle, okay? The thread angle for MPT threads is 60 degrees. Applications. MPT threads are commonly used in piping systems to connect pipes and fittings. They are designed to prevent leak-proof seals for liquids and gases. Dude, look at all this info. Thread engagement. Now, here's the other neat thing about the trade hog. Whether you've got our $9.95, it's always there in your pocket, or you have our basic, which can ask more questions. Here you see the basic where you can ask up to 50 questions. Actually, I think this is the premium. But look at all this. So I could get in here and say, well, let's see here. I could say, can you give me some examples of the use of MPT threads for, let's see here, for outdoor use. I'm just going to type a question in there. That's it. And just see what it comes back. This is how you use the technology. Now, this is no different than ChatGTP, except for we tailor ours to be very code specific and bring back references where necessary. So it's a difference in the way it does it. Look at this. Look at this. National pipe taper threads are commonly used in various outdoor applications due to the ability to create a tight seal. Look at this. Irrigation systems can use it. Outdoor plumbing uses it. Gas lines use it. HVAC system, fountains and water features, rain harvesting, outdoor lighting, agricultural company, on and on and on. And you can ask another follow-up. Like I could ask, for electrical. What type of applications in electrical would require an MPT? And dude, that is the reason that I created TradeHog, not to be another artificial intelligence like Grok, and I wanted one that was very focused on trades, very focused on giving code references and being able to have a conversation with it about the trades type of thing. That's why we created it. And so it has been doing amazingly well because people use it every day. They pull it out their pocket, boom, go right at it. It uses any browser, so you don't need the mobile app. You can use a browser. But anyway, TradeHog for the win. Because it can get into those little questions that you may want to know more about. You may like, I can read something in the code, and then you might go, well, what the hell does that mean? Well, copy and paste it into TradeHog and ask the hog, and it'll give you that information. Okay. It wasn't a sales pitch for the hog. I wanted to show you how that hog would work to tell us more information on a topic that you maybe don't know that much about. And now you probably know more intimate that not all fittings for all applications are acceptable, that type of thing. Okay. Now, granted, you can get fittings for wet locations that have grommets that still that actually will use a standard lock nut, but it has a grommet. Those are straight threading. That is not taper. Okay, taper tends to be if you're going to go into one type of connector is going into like a hub that's going to be a sealing hub that's going to seal water from coming in, things like that. Different. You might get tapers that come into certain types of Myers hubs coming in, but then on the end that goes into the box is straight threading. It's not the taper. That's why you have to be very careful the different types of fittings you use, because you may have a hub that's designed for taper and you're not taking a taper into it. You're taking a straight threads into it, and it will not seal up properly. That type of thing. All these type of things. This is why you get the big bucks, right? This is why you electricians get the mojo, right? I'm just saying. All right, let's go on. It says, for equipment provided with thread entries for NPT threaded conduits or fittings, listed conduit fittings, and listed cable fittings, okay, shall be used. Obviously, if you have a termination into a fitting, let's say a hub that requires MPT, that's what you want to use. So you want to use the fitting that's going to go into it. So we have MPT or taper to taper, that type of thing, not straight into it. Okay, those type of thing. There we go. You got to be more specific than that, AJ. What do you mean not in Texas? Just saying, I was from Texas, so I am more than happy. Let's get a debate going because Texas is very big. Okay, jurisdiction to jurisdiction. I'm not sure what you mean, bro. All right, let's see here. All MPT thread, conduit, and fittings shall be threaded with National American Standard pipe threadings, carries MPT threading. MPT thread entries into explosion-proof equipment. Okay, money. Are you saying people can be bought in Texas? What are you saying? Shall be made up with at least 5 thread entries, and we just saw that. Okay. Hazardous locations. Let's go on. Article 500 through 504, which again, we kind of set the basis for these different types of locations in part 1 of this series. It says, in those covered in classifications and requirements for electrical and electronic equipment wiring for all voltages in Class 1, Division 1 and 2, Class 2, Division 1 and 2, and Class 3, Division 1 and 2 locations where fire or explosion hazards may exist due to, again, flammable gases, liquid-produced vapors, combustible liquid-produced vapors, combustible dust, or combustible or ignitable fibers or flyings. All of those are covered in 500.1, 501.1, 502.1, 503.1, and 504.1. That .1 is going to give you the general coverage or scope, particularly of that specific article, okay? Now, the one thing to remember, that's your general. One thing to remember is, and I think it's extremely important that we all remember, and I'll zoom in here, that within a building or structure, and this is what I used to listen to Mark Odie talk about this all the time, is that in a single building itself, typically you don't have one whole building that's just, if it's classified, the whole freaking building is just classified. Typically what you'll have is different areas of a building, okay? And so you could have different areas. You could have, again, you could have, like in our picture, you could have area 5 right here that is a class 1 type 1 or type 2 location, right? But then you could be right adjacent to another area that may be a different classification. And the code's stating that we're going to treat every area separate, okay? So that's important to remember, especially for those that are designing systems. It can get quite costly if an engineer were to just blanket assign a classification to an entire building when every area may be different. Okay, so that's kind of a design thing. So each room, section, or area within a hazardous classified location shall be considered individual, and to determine the appropriate classification, each area is different. And again, you're going to have different requirements, whether it's explosion proof, whether it's a dust proof area, or whether or not you need seal offs here or there, all those type of things. Okay. AJ says the annotation that electrician make the big bucks. Stay on lesson, Paul. No, you make the big bucks, bro. If you're not making the big bucks, you're not doing something right, bro. Come on. Come on. Gotta make the big bucks, bro. Let's do it. All right. If you're making the little bucks, gotta work. Gotta make the big bucks. Let's go. I was in Texas. I know some electricians that made some big ass bucks in Texas. I'm just saying. All right. Hazardous location, equipment, let's keep on. It says equipment shall be identified not only for its class of location, okay, so whatever its class 1, class 2, class 3, but also for the explosive, combustible, or ignitable properties of that specific gas. So you all saw that we have also operating temperatures. We also had groups within the different classes. And so, again, each piece of equipment is going to have a marking or a label that's going to say what specific group. You just don't go grab this stuff off the shelf, right? You say, just give me, what do you need, Paul? What do you need? You go into a supply house. What do you need? I can tell you most of the time when I dealt early on in my career in these classified locations, other than some general boxes, this wasn't the normal on-the-shelf type of stuff. Now, again, every supply house is different. The CEDs and the world and things like that may have a lot more of this stuff, but usually a lot of this stuff was special order, or you had to order it per project, especially depending on the size and what the necessary need. But again, you have to be very cognizant of operating temperature, auto ignition temperature that the equipment is rated for. The engineer has to be a qualified person that understands how to classify an area. I encourage electricians to stay away from determining an area. Let an engineer, if it is a hazardous location, it is that type of building, let the engineer be on record for deciding a location, and you just follow what they say, that type of thing. Now, as far as for exam, these are easy. They got to give you the information to be able to answer the question. But when I'm saying design professional, let them design these classified hazardous locations. Let them do it, okay? Gray Bar. Gray Bar has grown massively. See, they are good for this oddball stuff and stocking stuff. Excellent. Van Man says the Gray Bar in his area does that type of thing. Let's see. In addition, Class 1 equipment shall not have an exposed surface operating at temperatures in excess of the auto ignition temperature of the specific gas or vapor that it's going to be utilized in. So you have to understand what the temperature is in the environment where you're putting the equipment, where its exposure could cause what? An auto ignition. So we have to make sure that we're picking equipment that's going to be in a situation where it's not going to allow temperatures to get to that volatile point. Class 2 equipment shall not have an external temperature higher than that specified in 500.8D2. Okay, we saw that yesterday, the nice table, T ratings, temperature ratings. Okay, Class 3 equipment shall not exceed the maximum surface temperature specified in 503.5. Okay, and all of this is referenced in 500.8D1. Okay, so let's see here. I mean, I can show that just real quick. Let's see here. Let me go here. It makes it easier. 500.8. Here we go. And here is equipment application. Let's see, there's your markings, and there's your temperature. Okay, equipment temperature, and there's that nifty little table, surface temperature right here. Okay, not brain surgery, just gives you the temperatures, gives you the rating you're going to look for on the equipment. Okay, right there. If it says T2, then these are the ranges, the maximum temperatures. Okay, surface temperature is right there. We talked a little bit about that, talked about it. Special allowances right there. Temperatures, okay, class 1 temperatures. There you go. Class 2 temperatures, and it tells you where to go. Class 3, all of them are going to ultimately send you and talk about the markings, division, all that type, equipment temperatures, and it gives you this nifty table. Okay. For exam prep applications, they're going to give you everything that you need in the question, because they cannot assume that you're going to know other conditions. So they'd have to tell you the temperature of the area. They'd have to tell you what the surface temperature is likely to be so that you can select equipment. So for exams, people freak out about getting a couple questions about hazardous location. For exams, I would not freak out. They got to give you that info, right? So I wouldn't worry about that. As far as an electrician, follow what the engineer puts on the drawings. That way the liability is off your hands, okay? You just make sure that you get the right equipment that matches what they specify. If you're the one designing the hazardous location, then I'm going to assume that you already have a high level of knowledge and you're that qualified person that understands hazardous locations, the ramifications from these different things, how to understand the markings on the equipment, all those types. I'm going to assume you already know how that. You're not going to learn that in this episode. So if you're coming here to be an expert on hazardous location, coffee hour is not for you. 30,000 foot view, folks. Okay. I encourage you, there are great courses out there that do nothing but dig deep into hazardous location, especially if you're going to try to design something, okay? Also, let's see here. Equipment that has been identified for a Division 1 location can be installed in a Division 2 location of the same class, group, or temperature class. What that means is, I can't just automatically install a piece of equipment. So you go out and get a piece of equipment from Gray Bar, and it's a Class 1 Division 1, and you want to use it in a Class 2 Division 1. That's not going to work, okay? I cannot automatically use something that's in a Division 1, even within the same class. I can't automatically use that for a Division 2. I got to be careful where it's going, that type of thing. But in general, if it's a Class 1, flammable vapors, whatever, and it's a Division 1, then it's typically okay to be used in the Division 2. Okay, so it's still the same class, if you will. Now, one of the things I can't do, and you heard me talk about this the other day, is that I can't just take something that may be marked as a Class 1 Division 2 and use it in a Division 1, okay? Because Division 1 is where the condition is there under normal conditions, that the elements that are hazardous are there. That's what a Division 1 is. So I can't just take a Division 2 product and use it in a Division 1. But if it's the same class, Class 1, I can use a Division 1. It's just overkill for use in Division 2, and it may be all you have on hand. And I'm going to be honest with you, I would think Division 1 products cost a little more than Division 2, but I don't know that. I'm not a cost guy anymore. I don't know that for a fact, but I would think that it would be, okay? But I don't know that. And there's some engineers out there that may just say, screw it. If it's a Class 1, I'm going to spec everything to be Class 1 Division 1. I'm not going to risk it. That's their prerogative. It's going to raise the cost of the project. But again, that's the engineer on design. If that's what they want, you're the electrician. You don't care. You're just installing it. That type of scenario. All right. Also, all right. I was going to look at the same. Okay. Equipment. Equipment shall be marked to show the environment to which it has been evaluated. Absolutely. It's going to have all this information on it, the class, the group, the temperature ratings, all that stuff on the nameplate. If you've never looked at it before, stop, go look at a piece of equipment that is designed for use in a classified location and look at the stuff that's on the markings. Look at everything, okay? Now, It says, unless otherwise specified in 508C6, the markings shall include the class, the division, the material classification group, like as A, B, C, D, or E, F, G. Again, class 1, A, B, C, D, class 2, E, F, G, that type of thing, okay? The equipment temperature is going to be marked on it, and the ambient temperature range around it. Okay, so again, you have to be also very careful because you could be working in a boiler room. You could be working in a location which has the hazardous condition, but it also is an area where it may produce stuff that creates a higher ambient temperature. So I have to be aware of that, okay? Because the higher ambient temperature is no different than what happens in a raceway. When we're trying to do ambient temperature applications and we've got the ampacity of a conductor, and we have the amount of heat that's going to be generated by current flow, and we're trying to not reach the volatile point of the 90-degree rating of the insulation, but we got to take into account the ambient temperature because that's going to raise up the overall temperature, and it's going to be additive to whatever the temperature is that's being generated from the conductors. When you add that all together, it could dramatically move that temperature volatility up to that 90 degrees C. And what happens is it could cause the conductors to insulation to break down. Also, because of that, it's going to reduce the amount of current that we can carry through the conductor. Why? Because it's going to get closer to that insulation breakdown point. So why do we reduce the ampacity? To reduce the amount of heat that's generated by the conductor. And why do we have to take ambient temperatures into consideration so that we can do a derating on that? Is so that we can keep that ampacity, we can keep all of that heat down so that it doesn't get to that volatile threshold of the insulation rating, right? Because then it could break down. And with the insulation on a conductor breaks down, everything else is going to go to shit. Okay. Same thing when it comes to hazardous location in the equipment. We need to keep that temperature, make sure where we put this equipment so that we don't potentially breach the rating of the equipment and then cause something to fail. And again, that's why we have to look at all these conditions. And the ambient temperature is going to play a significant role in that. So that's why we need to know what the maximum ambient temperature that this equipment can be located in. So it's going to be the design professional. We have to know the condition of where it's being located, those type of things. All those things come into play, okay? The maximum safe operating temperature shall be marked on equipment for Class 1 and Class 2 locations, having been determined by simultaneous exposure to the combined condition for both classes, okay? So if I have certain type of equipment that is marked, okay, that is both Class 1 and Class 2 location type equipment, and there is equipment out there that is rated for both conditions, then we have to look at it. And generally the markings are going to be based on simultaneous combination usage so that they both, no matter where you may use it, it's going to fall within the safe operating temperature, okay? The temperature class, if provided, shall be indicated using the temperature class T codes. And again, those were shown, we saw those yesterday. Go back and check yesterday. That is in 500.8C4, and that was the table where it shows the Fahrenheit or Celsius conditions, and then on the right it was the T code, and that will correspond with the T code that's on your electrical equipment that is designed for use in those specific locations. Hazardous protection techniques. Okay. Now, acceptable protection techniques for electrical and electronic equipment in the hazardous classified location. Okay. So the equipment we're trying to protect, we don't give a damn about anything else. We're trying to protect that equipment located in that specific area, because if that goes to crap, everything else is going to go to crap. Anything around it, anybody around it, anything like that. So when we talk about protection technique, we're talking about what do we have to do as a protection technique to protect the electrical system, to protect that electrical or electronic equipment that is located in this hazardous location. That's what we're trying to protect. Okay, so it says, okay, so acceptable protection techniques for electrical and electronic equipment in hazardous classified locations include explosion-proof equipment. That, believe it or not, is a protection technique by putting all of the electrical arcing components, everything that could cause a problem in this volatile environment, in this atmospheric environment, we're going to put it in explosion-proof equipment. That's a protection technique. And you could have an design professional who puts every damn thing in the explosion-proof equipment. It might be overkill, but they may do that. That is a protection technique. What else? Well, depending on the location, it could be dust ignition proof. That may be a protective technique. Dust tight equipment, depending on what you're in, like a class 2 location, that might be a protection technique. Purging and pressurized. I'm sure you've seen this, and this is a kind of a crazy example, but it's sometimes the easiest example that I like to use. How many of you ever gone to the Costco's and you go into the freezer room and you walk through these doors and you get in there, it's cold as hell, but you're just outside the door and it's not. They use pressurization and they keep it, just the best example I can give, but it actually keeps it at different pressure. So it's really hard for, if you pressurize something, use what's called purging or pressurization. It doesn't allow everything to leak out of the area that it's being contained due to pressure, okay? Other thing is purging. You could have a situation where it's constantly being purging, or there's air exchanges, or a number of air exchanges are coming out of the system constantly to keep it below volatile levels. So that is constant purging or removing. But I like the example of the pressurized one, where is that when you go in, there's two different pressures on two different types of a break wall. And there is a different pressure, and this pressure here keeps everything in and doesn't allow it to go this direction because it keeps this pressure on it due to that. So that is a system that can be used, and it keeps things from getting out of a certain area. That type of thing, pressurization. That could be depending on how it's designed. I'm not an expert in those designs, but that could be a method that is being used as a protection technique, depending on the area. So again, that's just another method. For you on exam prep, you just need to know. Now, could we ask TradeHog to explain purge and pressurized locations when it comes to hazardous locations? Damn right. And I'm sure that some of you is going to go do that and ask TradeHog, say, TradeHog, can you explain purged and pressurized when it comes to hazardous locations? And guess what? TradeHog's going to try to explain it to you, and then you can ask a follow-up question. That is a great example where if you see something, you don't understand it, that's what you can use TradeHog to help you learn. And you just get smarter as you go. I'm just saying, giving you tips on how to use TradeHog. I'm just saying. All right, so you also have protective techniques that's called intrinsically safe systems. You have non-incentive circuits that don't have enough energy that could initiate or could spark and cause an ignition. You could have a circuit that's in that area that is operating at these non-incentive levels so that it's no way that it could cause an ignition of this volatile condition. You have equipment and components. You have oil immersion. You have a lot of switches that make or break that may be located in an environment that are immersed in an oil, so an arc couldn't take place in order to cause that. You have hermetically sealed cabinets and enclosures and things like that. That is another protection technique. You have flammable gas detection systems. Will shut everything down at a certain level. That can be classified as a protection technique. And other such techniques employing equipment specifically listed for a given location. So that's all discussed under 500.7. Now notice that's in 500, not in something that's specific to 501, 502, 503. Because remember again, if you take anything away from this, 500 is our general. It's talking about the different conditions, the different locations. It's classifying out what is a Type 1, Type 2, Type 3, what's a Division 1, what's a Division 2. It's giving you all the general information. That's where you go if you get a very generalized question and you want to know whether something is a certain class or division. That's where you go. Then, once you decide that, then you can dig deeper and go into 501, 502, 503, for example, those type of situations, okay? Explosion-proof equipment is a protection technique that is permitted for equipment in Class 1, Division 1, and 2 locations. So that's 500 at 7A. Okay? So in those areas, you can use explosion-proof equipment for Class 1, Division 1, and Division 2. Okay, remember, Division 1, the condition is always, the elements are always there, day in and day out. It's the normal to have those volatile conditions there at any given time. Division 2, it's only there under a rupture, a malfunction, an abnormality, things like that. It's not there in those volatile levels all the time. Okay? It's something abnormal that could happen, and that will be a Division 2. Okay? Engineer should call that out. It should not be something that you, the electrician, have to make that call, that type of thing. It just raises your level of liability. And do me a favor, I'm not a guy that likes to pass the buck, right? But I can tell you right now, from an electrician, not an exam prep, but from an electrician standpoint, day in and day out, when it comes to hazardous location, I'm passing the damn buck. All right. I am going to let the engineer on record design it. And if a contractor comes to me and says, Paul, you have to classify an area, I'm going to say, hold up, slick. Hold up. I am not going to take that on my hands. Let the engineer on record do that. I'm not going to do it. Well, Paul, I'm in an area where I got to make those decisions. Well, if you are the guy that's making those decisions or the girl that's making those decisions, do me a favor. Take some extra training on hazard classified locations. Get something under your belt that says you are an expert or says that you had this extra level of training rather than just reading 500, 501, 502, 503, or more than you just doing a few installations and following what somebody says. Put this pipe to this connector to this box and whatever. Oh, I've done some drawings. I've done some installations. I know what's on a drawing. That does not make you qualified. Okay? I'm just saying this because I care. All right. Let somebody that wants to hang their hat on it and put their seal on it, let them make that decision. But an exam, no problem. They're going to give you enough information that you can answer the questions. I just want you to learn how to navigate it. That's all. That's all I'm focused on. Okay. All right. So here's the different types of equipment. Obviously, this is dust tight enclosure. Obviously, less secure in an environment than you would have for its explosion proof. Notice here, bolted, sealed type of equipment. Okay, usually has a seal on it. Then it has a connection here that bolts down tight to make that seal. Here's an explosion proof junction box. Notice how it's sealed tight. It's probably gasketed tight. Here is an explosion proof panel board. Just looks costly to me, right? I have all these little levers, everything, again, sealed up in there. Here is a dust ignition proof enclosure for current interrupting devices right here. So this is dust ignition proof, typically going to be used in a class 2 location. You go. So we have to make sure we get the right piece of equipment. It's not brain surgery. Just make sure you get familiar with the markings. And then at the end of the day, make sure that once you pick the equipment, take some time to look at the temperature values and then take a quick look at the location you're installing. So that is something that the engineers may miss. They may specify a piece of equipment. They may specify it right for the classification, maybe even the right group, but they may not pay attention to the ambient temperature of the location to this equipment that's being installed because they may just miss it. That's where you can be that go-to person to go, oh, time out. You're installing this as in a room that maybe it's producing chemicals, maybe it's at a temperature level because of the way it's burning. There's a furnace, there's something in here. We're going to have much higher ambient temperatures than what, okay, a higher deal than what you just specified in your drawings. And they're going to say, well, I'm the engineer. I designed it. I'm like, dude, I get it. And trust me, I want you to design it. But you may have missed the mark on the temperatures that are in this location. Now, with that said, I am going to tell you that most cases, this type of equipment that you're paying that big bucks for is already going to be a very high temperature value. So it's generally not going to be a concern. But on an exam, it may be, because exams, the questions don't have to make sense. They can be all over the place. They could come up with some freaky value that you would never encounter in your life. And you're not supposed to sit on an exam and go, oh shit, that'll never happen. This is an unlogical question. It doesn't matter. You got to answer the question. So you got to say, throw logic out the window and just answer the question, right? That type of thing. All right. Talking about circuits, again, I don't have to reiterate to you folks how important Article 100 is. And also in the 2023, these were up in 500. These were up in the point 2 or dot 2. These all got moved to Article 100. And then, I think that there was a part 3 in the 2020, I can't remember, that dealt with these hazardous location definitions. Anyway, what you need to know is in the 2023, everything is in 100, okay? Article 100, these definitions are all there now, except for a couple random panels where the folks couldn't agree and they may have left something in dot 2. But in general, all definitions now are in Article 100. And so in non-incentive circuits, what is a non-incentive circuit? Because you may see that on some drawings and you're like, okay, wait a minute. Does it look like they're doing something with the wiring method? Why are they doing it this way? What are they doing? They're not using these things that I would think they would use, this real expensive equipment. What the hell are they doing? Well, they might be doing what's called a non-incentive circuit. It's a circuit other than field wiring. Okay, so this is typically non-incentive circuits. It's usually not the power that's going from A to B, but this is integrated with equipment. It says in which any arc or thermal effect produced under the equipment's intended operating condition is incapable under specific test conditions of igniting the flammable gases, vapor, or dust air mixture. So if you get a piece of equipment and it is a circuit that they classify as a non-incentive circuit, then it means that it does not have the capability as a circuit itself, as part of the equipment that's being utilized, it does not have the ability to generate an arc that could cause ignition. So there is no way that it could get to the auto ignition point of this volatile flaming gases, vapors, or combustible dust, because it just doesn't have the energy within the circuit, okay? Now, that is the circuitry within equipment, okay, that is used that has it or marked as a non-incentive circuit. Now, non-incentive field wiring. These are all defined terms, by the way. It is wiring that enters or leaves an equipment enclosure and is under the equipment's normal operating conditions, is not capable during an arc, not capable to arc or thermal effect, means the elevated ambient temperature onto the equipment's rating and getting to that volatile temperature, under that thermal effect of igniting the flammable gases, vapor, or dust air mixture. Normal operation includes opening, shorting, or grounding the field wiring. Okay, that would be normal operation. And none of that, whether it's a shorting it, whether it's opening anything, make or breaking, creating an arc, or whatever's happening under normal field operation wiring, if they call it a non-incentive field wiring component from, let's say, your panel or controller to the piece of equipment, the piece of equipment may have non-incentive circuitry in it, but now, and it's in that environment, but now you have the field wiring that's going to it that an engineer or maybe a company that designs the system specific for an application, they have labeled it as a non-incentive field wiring application. There is no way under normal operation that it could cause ignition in the area that it's being used. Again, that is a protection system, okay? But again, it's defined under Article 100, so you don't have to commit this to memory. You know that it's in 100, so you can go look. Now, the equipment itself, non-incentive equipment. And oh, by the way, in most of these non-incentive systems, it doesn't make sense to intermingle. So most of these non-incentive systems will come together and you'll have everything from the circuit to the wiring to the equipment works together, and it is basically something that you'll buy as a system, okay? It says equipment having electrical or electronic circuitry that is incapable under normal operating conditions to cause ignition of a specific flammable gas, vapor, air, or dust air mixture due to arcing or thermal means. Okay, so that's what these non-incentive things are. They just don't have the ass, is the easiest way for me to say it. They don't have the ass in order to be able to cause anything to explode, that type of thing. So protection techniques, as you saw here, there's other different. So you have explosion-proof incandescent light fixtures. I don't know how much of the incandescent we're using anymore, but there you go. You have explosion-proof luminaires. You have explosion-proof vertical seals. We see a lot of these, by the way, at when we're going to deal with gas fueling stations, dispensaries, things like that. And they use a compound in there called Chico. That's just a brand. It's a sealing compound. You have explosion-proof attachment plugs and receptacles. The way they're designed, it minimizes the make or break because of how it does. It has a long sleeve on it so that it keeps the make or break further in. You've ever wondered why we have ground prongs that are a little longer than the neutral and the hots in an attachment plug? Because of make or break. You always want that ground to be just a little longer so it makes it first and breaks it last concept, right? That's already built into most of the attachment plugs, just a little bit longer for that type of scenario. But it takes it to the extreme, if you will. We have explosion-proof fluorescent luminaires, still called light. They call them light fixtures, but these are luminaires. We have explosion-proof outlet boxes. We have explosion-proof vertical seals with a drain fitting. And we have explosion-proof flexible couplings that you'll use from different things where you need flexibility, from a motor to, let's say, an explosion-proof outlet box, okay? All these different things, and I'm sure this is just a sampling of what's available that you may have run into, but all of these are all part of the protection system. It's not just the explosion-proof equipment, but it's everything in conjunction that works together is part of a system if you're designing it. Okay? All right, now, discuss the different protection techniques employed in hazardous locations and how they affects each, how effective each can be. Basically, explosion-proof equipment prevents gases from entering an enclosure. So coming in and being drawn into the enclosure, if you have little gaps, then the different pressures can cause something that's where you can suck it into it, a siphoning effect where it pulls it in, okay? That type of thing. And again, you don't want it to be in there where you may have sparks or you may have something that is normal like make or breaks that can, so we need types of equipment. That's why we may use oil immersion around switches. The oil is not going to ignite. It's at a different ignition point. All different types of things to help stop this, okay? So explosion-proof equipment prevent gases from entering an enclosure, which may produce sparks and ignite the vapors. Non-incentive circuits are incapable of producing sparks to ignite flammable vapors. So that's where you may have a non-incentive circuit inside of a piece of equipment and that type of thing. All right. All right, so next we're going to be getting into the actual hazardous locations specifically and the different classes, and we'll get into the different wiring methods, talking about the wiring methods and all that type of stuff, and we'll talk about seal-offs and all that good stuff, right? So we're gonna leave it there today because I am over an hour, and we're gonna go get some more people registered for the giveaways. I need another piece of paper in order to do some giveaways. So hopefully you got a little something out of the day's episode. So let's see here if we're going to do. And I think today, I mentioned that Jeff is back in today. He sent me a message. He's saying, by the way, I'll give you a heads up. The ultimate coin is going out today to a D'Angelo Larenga. To a Trenton DeMort and a Miles Mahoney Music. If y'all are on today, please make sure you do send in again your mailing address, because he did send me a note saying it's hard. I think he did have Miles, but I don't think he has Trenton and D'Angelo's mailing address. So again, make sure you send that in, but we'll go double check it today. That type of thing. All right. All right, so let me see here. Wire waffle battles. You may already have one, but you're in the drawing to get another one. Or not a drawing. These are instant win. So you get another wire waffles. Hey, it's nothing like having multiple wire waffles. All right? You get to use them and try them out. All right, let's spin again. Congratulations. So yes, the ultimate coin. So make sure, if we already have it, don't worry about it. Trenton Dormert and Miles Mahoney Music. Make sure you send us your addresses, because Jeff is notifying me that he does not have at least 2 of you, does not have your mailing address. Okay, so we're doing these systematically. Okay, the next one will be the Ohms coin, and that would be Edgar Paredes, Adam French, and Tino H. I believe we do have, he doesn't mention that we don't have your mailing addresses here, but just in case, it doesn't hurt to send them in again. But that is the Ohms coin. All right. And you notice we're going through the things that don't have to be customized, except it would not hurt if Edgar, Adam, and Tino H let us know whether you want the Journeyman or Masters coin. The Ultimate coin, y'all's doesn't matter. But the Ohms coin, it does help. It saves another email, because he was going to send out the email for you Ohms coin folks wanting to know whether you wanted Master or the Journeyman. So it gets you save some time again. I don't mind the multiple emails. Jeff doesn't mind the multiple emails. Again, we're old school, and we get thousands of emails from all over the place. Y'all know that I also do private corporate training, and I get hundreds of emails from the corporate people that are in our programs for the corporate stuff. So again, some things get lost, but he did not mention he didn't have y'all's, but do it again for the Ohms coin for Edgar, Adam, and Tino H. And again, let us know whether you want the Master or the Journeyman Ohms coin. Okay. And if you'd rather have the Ultimate coin instead of your Ohms coin, let us know that too. I don't mind substituting out, because the Ultimate coin is my favorite coin. I don't mind doing that. It's not a problem. All right, Tino RGV, you are in the drawing for the Minimalist wallet. Okay, so again, Tino, don't send me an email saying, where's my wallet? You're in the drawing for it on June 30th, okay? So there you go. All right, let's spin. Shout out.
Woo, 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 woo. Big dog.
Tony Ray just passed the Colorado Journeyman on Monday. Congratulations, my brother. Welcome to the family. Keep learning, keep studying. You're here today. Dude, this is Wednesday and you're here. Dude, that's commitment. That's what we're talking about. We always want to keep learning, because we want to be better than the guy next door. Always want to be better than the guy next door. Keep learning. Separates you from everybody else. Okay, that's what we have to do. All right, Paul Montoya. Okay, no relation to Tony Montana. You got the 2023, and you're in the drawing for the flashcards. Card set. Congratulations. All right. When do I sleep? I never sleep, bro. I'm always coming up with things. Pays to be on multiple platforms. I'm just saying, Battles Electric, you should follow his lead. You are in the drawing for the 2023 Grounding and Bonding. It is one of our most popular courses out there. If you don't have a Grounding and Bonding course, so many people all you gotta do is go to social media and look at the posters that people post. Posters that people post. It's proper grammar. Go look at them. You will see that people just don't understand grounding and bonding. It seems so simple, but Article 250 is one of the most complex articles in the National Electrical Code. And again, TradeHog can be great to cut and paste things in it in order to try to understand certain things a little bit better. Let TradeHog help. Dude, I'm telling you, the endless possibilities with the use of TradeHog. And we even offer the light version. $9.95 a month. You show your commitment to us. We appreciate you. $9.95, it's less than a Starbucks, really. Or if you're in California, almost less than a gallon of gas. And you can actually have an expert in your pocket, and you can learn from it. Okay, it's a no-brainer, and you help support us, and we appreciate it. Okay, we do appreciate all the support that you give us out there. It's what allows me to keep bringing new products to the market and things like that. And we are working on something that I can't release. It won't release until the late June, 1st of July. It's a totally different product. It's not like Trade Hog, but it is something that we're working on. Again, always working on something. I never sleep. I'm lucky if I get 6 hours of sleep a night because I'm always up late and always up early. But that's all I need. I don't feel I need any more than that type of thing. So, all right. So we got you down. Let's do one more. And let's see here. And I'm a little over. I'm sorry. Apologize. I know y'all's time is very important, and I want to be good stewards of your time. Also, all right, Greg already is in one of our programs. So I think, Greg, you're probably already in this enhanced. But I'm more than happy to move you to the Master the NEC program, which is, again, it's like the enhanced, but it doesn't have the exam prep questions, but they're both essentially the same thing. So if you want me to spin again, I'm more than happy to spin again for you, Greg, and see if you can get something else. Just let me know. And if I happen to go off the air and you're not here anymore and you don't want me to spin again, just remind me tomorrow and I will spin for you. Dude, I'm flexible, bro. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think you are, Greg, in the program because I think you called me when the system went down the other day, but it was back up within an hour, that type of thing. So anyway, all right. So anyway, Greg, you'll let us know if you want to spin again, or you know what? I'll let you, if you win it, I'll let you gift it to somebody if you win it. That's another thing, folks. If you win a course and you want to keep it and you have a friend or somebody that works for you and you win it, I don't have a problem with you gifting it to somebody if you win it. And hey, the more people that learn, I'm all about that. I'm all about the learning, okay? Most of you will learn. I don't care about the clicks. I don't care about the subscribers, although I want you to subscribe because I want you to get notices when we go live, when we share content, that type of thing. So again, that's really the reason. I don't monetize my platforms, by the way. So the only platform that I monetize is YouTube because that's the one I started with. But you see, I moved most of my stuff off of YouTube anyway over to Fast Tracks Tubes. So I don't, so I don't monetize TikTok. I'm never on TikTok. I post some announcements and stuff, but I don't do anything on it. Instagram, Facebook, I don't monetize that stuff because I don't care about that. Okay. So, but I am monetized on YouTube, that type of thing. Okay. And it's very little. I mean, we probably only do maybe $500 a month in YouTube. Whereas I've got folks like Electrician U, Dustin, who I helped get started. Dustin probably doing $10,000, $12,000 a month on his YouTube channel. That's great for Dustin. It's not the same kind of content that I would put out. I'm not into the fanboy stuff. I'm not into putting out content that shows you how to wire a box or run a raceway or pull conductors, or I'm just not that type of thing. So I don't appeal to everybody. I'm just a code guy. Okay. And sometimes I'm very dry and I can be boring. I get it. It's okay. I never tried to appeal to all those people. Okay. Again, email. I have 1 million emails. If you don't know them by now, you can go on every platform and there's a contact us there. That works. We're at info@electricalcodeacademy.com. We're at info@fasttracksystem.com. We're at all those infos we're at, what else? You can go to paulabernathy.com and put it in there. Many ways. You can go on all of our websites and click on the contact us button. Do it there if you want. All that type of stuff. Okay. All that kind of good stuff. So anyway, that's it, folks. Just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you. Thanks for joining. Share it with your friends. Hopefully you got something out of today's episode. It looks like we're going to have a part 3, hazardous location, tomorrow. Going to get into different types of wiring methods. If you've got questions, write them down. Bring them. If it's germane to the topic, let's talk about it. If you have something else you want to ask, go to paulabernathy.com. That is the portal to submit questions to us, that type of thing. If you're in a Fast Tracks program and you have questions, make sure you're using what's called Fast Tracks Interact. Once you're in your course or even log in, you don't even have to be in the course. Just go to the page on our website where you start to log in your course, and you will see at the bottom right this little blue thing. That is what you click to type your question, cut and paste an image, or just type in a question that's germane to your whatever your lesson is. That's the best way to get responses. And just check back often and you will see our responses. And then everybody gets to learn. That's the best way to ask questions if you're in our program. That type of thing. All right? All right, folks. Till next time, stay safe. God bless. Thanks for joining me this morning. We'll catch you tomorrow on Thursday, where we'll be looking at part 3 of hazardous locations. And now we're going to dig deeper into the location and the different types of wiring methods that you can use. Take care.